Yaffee program on WVNN.
Well, of course, we're going to talk about it today. The fact that Trump has announced a long-term deal for Greenland. Not that it's the 51st state or anything like that, or even going to be a U.S. territory, but a deal, nonetheless. That seems like a pretty good deal. As I mentioned before, I didn't know if I was a big fan of his tactics, but I was a fan of the end goal. I think what he says makes a lot of sense when it comes to national security and for the economy, and why Greenland, would be good to be a part of the United States. So we'll talk about that because Trump has made all this news and more news while he's in Davos at the World Economic Forum, and we have much more to get to on the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM WVNN, and it is Thursday. That means Christopher Reed is joining the show. He is host of The Daily Controversy. You can go to his website, thedailycontroversy.com, to check out all of his stuff. And yes, hear his show right here on WVNN, 8 to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. Chris, how are you today, good sir?
Oh, I'm good, man. I agree with you on the tactics. I was kind of hoping we'd just invade them because I heard the 57,000 people there are super liberal. So I'm like, oh, that's fine. Let's just take them over. I mean, what are they going to do? Throw some fish at us? I don't even think they have guns, but it would have been good. It would be good training for our military. We don't do a lot of like winter invasions, Can we have issues with Russia? So that'd be good training. And
I was going to say, would it though? Because, we could just send 2 Navy SEALs and then it's done.
Yeah,
we have it. So.
They would attack us with actual SEAls because that's about all they have. So
yeah, it's almost too easy.
Yeah, it's weird. Like people are like, "Oh, this is going to mess up NATO," and I just want people to remember: 65% of NATO's defense is the United States now. So Europe can't leave. They can't kick us out. They'd be completely undefended against Russia, and Russia would absolutely go after them if they were weak. So to me, Trump wanted this. He needs it for the Golden Dome because you have to have it there to stop nuclear missiles or things like that. It's just essential to that plan. And the rare earth minerals, 90% of the rare earth minerals that we need for like the defense industry and other things are getting processed in China. And Greenland has all of these. And it's why China has so much leverage over us, and we need to get this stuff so they can't put us in a position where we have to back down when we don't want to back down.
Yeah, Trump said initially it wasn't about the minerals. It was about national security. But as a part of this deal, it looks like, it is about the minerals. And like you said, when it comes to rare earth minerals, that is about national security. Not only because we need it to build military hardware, but you're right, we're just too reliant on China for a lot of that stuff, and he wants to change that, which I think is a good goal. Now, I'll go over the details of what's in this framework of a deal. I do want to play some audio here, though. Walker, go ahead, skip down to Trump Davos cut 2. This was kind of the start of a lot of the talks at Davos, and Trump admitted he's not going to, invade Greenland. Play Trump Davos cut 2 for me, Walker.
Every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us.
All right, so he admits there he would not take it by force. I don't know if anyone really believed that he would to begin with, but he's right. The Europe, Canada, they're not really in a position to defend Greenland like the United States would be, right?
No. The last 50 years, they used to have decent militaries, and they kind of got rid of that because they wanted socialist programs. While America was, spending $1 trillion a year on military, they were spending almost nothing. And basically, we subsidized all their economies so they could become lazy and useless commies. So, there's no way they can defend. They don't have the ability they don't even have the military equipment to do it. I mean, America has what, 17 aircraft carriers. The entire world combined has, I think, less than that. So yeah, we're the only ones that can do it. We're also the only ones that can develop this technology in a reasonably fast speed. We're the only ones that can build the Golden Dome. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense because Denmark is an extremely small country. They don't have the capabilities, and Russia or China, with almost no use of force, would be able to overpower their defense, which is exactly nothing in Greenland.
All right, so Trump came out yesterday and made an announcement that there does seem to be some kind of a deal. Go ahead, if you can, Walker, play Trump Greenland cut 1 for me.
It's really being negotiated now, the details of it, but essentially it's total access. There's no end. There's no time limit. A piece of it, yes, and it's a very important part because everything comes over Greenland. If the bad guys start shooting, it comes over Greenland. So we knock it down.
All right, so that was him talking about why we need it. Go ahead and go to cut 2 for me, Walker.
It's a deal that people jumped at. Really fantastic for the USA. Gets everything we wanted, including especially real national security and international. It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
So according to Newsweek, it says Trump announces long-term deal for Greenland, said that there are additional discussions going on regarding Greenland and the proposed Golden Dome missile defense program, which is a multi-layered system estimated to cost $170 billion that would, for the first time, place U.S. weapons in space. They say for the first time. We have some weapons there already, don't we? I bet we do. Anyway, it says he did not provide details, saying negotiations were ongoing, but he did announce that there is kind of a framework. And as you heard in that cut there, he says the deal would be infinite, meaning there's no end date, and the U.S. gets everything it wants when it comes to military and possibly when it comes to mineral rights deals. So it seems like it's a win for the United States here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win. I think he wanted more, but, Trump's always going to go for the most because that's a great negotiating tactic. You always try to get everything, and then when you get probably what you wanted to begin with, everyone feels like they got something. Europe feels like, oh, we stood up and we didn't give them everything, but then Trump was always just wanting exactly what this deal was. He's just smart enough to know if he asks for what he wants, he's going to get less. And he's like, I can freak out the New York Times and the Democrats and the Euros for a couple days, and then I'll get what I want, and then the news story will go away, and nobody will remember it. And this has happened like 1,000 times when Democrats freak out, and it always ends up in Trump's favor. So, yeah, this is a smart move. It does give us a lot more benefit than what we have now, and I think it's a better position than where we were. I would like to just have it, but this basically allows us to have sovereignty over the military base and sovereignty over any of the developed resources. So yes, Greenland's still a country, but the area that we take over is technically going to be U.S. soil, kind of like an embassy.
Yeah, well, and, one of the ideas for that I saw earlier this week where they were saying, the model is basically in Cuba, where we have Guantanamo Bay, and we didn't take over all of Cuba, but having that military base there, that military base is sovereign U.S. territory. So it would kind of be the same approach here. And it's interesting. You talk about, Trump's negotiation. He really played good cop, bad cop by himself. He was the bad cop saying he was going to add tariffs. Everything's on the table. He played tough. Then he gets over there to meet with European leaders on it. And then he's a good cop. And he says, I wouldn't actually do that. We just want a deal. I don't even need it to be all a part of the U.S. We just want sovereign rights to certain things. So it seems like the good cop, bad cop, even though Trump is both, seems like it kind of worked here, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand Trump. Like the Democrats, they pretend not to, but it's exactly what he did in the Middle East peace deal with a lot of these other peace deals. I mean, you can go back to Pakistan, India. He's basically saying, I'm going to destroy your economies. We're not going to trade. We're going to do all these things. And then they decided to stop their war because we don't want, them using nuclear weapons. It's the same strategy. Trump's a brilliant guy, but he just does what works. This was always going to work. He knew it was going to work. He knew the Democrats would freak out, and he knew the Europeans would cave, and he knew he would end up looking great because the average American's not going to worry about how you got a good deal. They're just going to look at the deal and say, hey, that's a good deal.
Speaking with Christopher Reed, he is host of The Daily Controversy. You can check out his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com or listen to a show 8 to 10 p.m. right here on WVNN. When we get back with him at the bottom of the hour, I want to ask him his rating for Trump's first year of his second term. I was asking people in the audience that yesterday. I want to get his take. We'll get to the Alabama bullet points coming up next. And, Chris was talking about things that work, how Trump's approach, it works. How about your appliances? That's something you want to work, right? If your appliances don't work, if your refrigerator isn't keeping things cool, or if your oven, your microwave, your stove are not warming things up, that's going to be especially bad this weekend if you're stuck at home in the snow. If you want your appliances to work, or if you need a new appliance, go to Jay's Appliance Outlet in Athens and do it today. Now, they're located off 1027 U.S. Highway 72 East in Athens. You can give them a call as well, 256-444-1328. And they service everything they sell. So if you buy something and it has an issue, they can come out, they can service it, they can fix it. So it works for a long, long time. Just another reason to go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. Plus, you're going to get the best prices anyway. They have scratch and dent deals as well. New inventory coming in all the time at Jay's Appliance Outlet. I want you to go today. Jay'sApplianceAL.com is the website. Jay's Appliance Outlet, where New Year's savings are real and service comes standard. Let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
We're back here on the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Don't forget to like the Yaffee Facebook page. Follow me on X at Yaffee or Instagram at Yaffee Live. And it's spelled Yaffee. It's not Yaffle or Waffle or Yappy or any of this other stuff that's out there. All right, we have to get to the Alabama headlines right now. Let's do it. We have the Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, Gary Palmer is backing a contempt of Congress resolution against Hillary and Bill Clinton. Says no one is above the law. So U.S. Representative Gary Palmer supported and voted in favor of 2 bipartisan resolutions passed by the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, recommending that former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton be held in contempt of Congress. Now, the resolutions stem from the Clintons' alleged defiance of subpoenas to testify in the congressional investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Hillary Clinton's own statement said that no one is above the law in the past, so they're kind of using that against her. Now, the measures, which could potentially lead to jail time, similar to cases involving Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, are expected to advance to a full House vote. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. If they go to jail, I kind of doubt it. Number 3 today, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey requests $2.96 million increase for additional therapists that she wants available in K through 12 schools. So Kay Ivey has requested $2.96 million increase in the 2026 Education Trust Fund in the supplemental budget to expand school-based mental health services in the state's K through 12 public schools. Now, this funding boost would raise total state support for school therapists to $7.65 million, enabling more therapists to address student mental health needs such as ADHD, depression, anxiety, and other emotional issues. Now, the program, a collaboration between the Alabama Department of Mental Health, the Department of Education, and local agencies, focuses on prevention, intervention, and treatment while prioritizing partnerships with the Department of Mental Health. Have to admit, I'm torn on this, and maybe a little bit later I'll explain why. Number 2 today, State Senator Larry Stutz says he's not happy about the Huntsville Hospital Health System's $450 million acquisition of Crestwood Medical Center. So State Senator Larry Stutz, a former medical professional himself, has voiced strong opposition to Huntsville Hospital Health System's planned $450 million acquisition buying of Crestwood Medical Center from Community Health Systems, Inc. Now, the deal would transfer ownership of the 108-bed acute care hospital in Huntsville, which is a freestanding emergency department in Harvest, and related outpatient services to the Huntsville Hospital Health System. Now, in comments that he made, Stutz described the transaction as overall bad for a variety of reasons, arguing that it would further consolidate healthcare market power in the Huntsville area under a single dominant system, thereby reducing choices for patients and physicians. So he's not the only one against it. Yeah, and number one today, we'll definitely have to talk about this. Anti-ICE radicals are apparently triggered by Ernie Yarbrough's proposed Laken-Riley Act. This was during a House committee public hearing. So I got this from 1819 News. It was a heated public hearing in Alabama's House Judiciary Committee. This was over the Laken-Riley Act, which is sponsored by State Representative Ernie Yarbrough out of Trinity. The bill would allow state and local law enforcement agencies to voluntarily enter memorandums of understanding with federal authorities to assist in enforcing existing immigration laws aimed at preventing incidents like the murder of Laken-Riley by addressing an influx of criminal elements. Now, opposition emerged from activists organized by the Alabama Coalition for Immigrant Justice, who attended wearing T-shirts, against it, said anti-ICE T-shirts and stuff. So this tells me that we need it more than ever. Honestly, it sounds like a good idea to me. The lesson that we should learn from what's happening in Minnesota, what looks like might be happening in Maine soon, what happened in Illinois, is we need to cooperate with ICE. If you really want to lower tensions, the best thing a state can do is actually just cooperate with ICE and law enforcement and enforce immigration laws. But in Minnesota, they wanted to do the opposite, so that forced the federal government to step up even more. And now Tim Walz and them are just saying, no, they need to leave. That'll solve the problem. No, it doesn't solve the problem. So we'll get Christopher Reed's take on that a little bit later. We'll see if it has a chance of passing the Alabama legislature, which it should. And no doubt I'll get Ernie Yarbrough on the show in the future to talk about it. I know he has put this bill up in the past, and it didn't make it all the way through. He's talked about it on my show before, so we'll try to get him on pretty soon. Right now, I got to tell you about Larry's Pistol and Pawn. If you go to the Madison location, the selection there is great. It's an 18,000 square foot facility, so you can't miss it if you're driving 565 and you see right there at exit 3, you see the big rusty water tower. Right next door is Larry's Pistol and Pawn. You go into the store, you look at the left of the store, that's where you see the big selection when it comes to firearms. They stock up on ammunition really well. They have firearm accessories, much more there, firearm cases, safes, all that stuff. That you can see that at Larry's Pistol and Pawn. In the middle, you got miscellaneous items. I've seen them sell clothes, musical instruments, lawn equipment, electronics, and so much more. Then you look at the right of the store, and yes, you see the best selection of jewelry in town for the best prices. And of course, if you're looking maybe to get engaged soon, they have diamond rings for that. But if you're looking for some nice jewelry for your loved one for Valentine's Day, you can find that all at Larry's Pistol and Pawn. So go to the Madison location. There's another location in Huntsville off North Memorial Parkway. And yes, you can see the latest sales ad on their website, pistolandpawn.com. Pistolandpawn.com. When you go, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, we'll be back here in just a moment on the Yaffee program.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Hey, I'm Chris Van Vliet, host of the #1 podcast, Insight with Chris Van Vliet. On the show, I sit down with the biggest names in pro wrestling, sports, film, and beyond. These are real, long-form conversations that go behind the scenes and beyond the headlines with people like John Cena, The Undertaker, Cody Rhodes, and more. We talk mindset, motivation, and what it takes to succeed. This is Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
We're back on the Yaffee program. Yes, I am Alabama's truth czar. This is Huntsville's disinformation board. Glad you joined the show today. Christopher Reed is joining the show as well. He's host of The Daily Controversy. Check out his show, 8 to 10 p.m. right here on WVNN. You know, Chris, I just saw this quote here from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, as I call her, who might end up being the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. It wouldn't surprise me at this point. But she is now making the claim. I keep seeing Democrats and leftist pundits try to make this claim that Trump is senile. He's having a mental breakdown. He's senile. It's just like Biden. We're not covering it like they covered Biden. It's like the same thing. How are we ignoring Trump's senility? This comes off as desperate, right? I mean, we could talk all day about some flaws that Trump might have in his personality, but they're not new. And yeah, he's a little bit older, but senile? Does this just come off as desperate from them, Chris?
I mean, you got one thing you got to learn about the communists is like they lie as freely as we breathe. Like it's just to them lying, anything that promotes their cause, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how false, no matter how verifiably untrue, they just do it. And of course, obviously, this guy works harder than any of us. I mean, he's freaking 80 years old. He's I don't know what it is. But, I mean, he only sleeps 5 hours a night, and he's accomplished more than any other president I can think of in a year. And it's just these people just tell lies. It's like when Pam Grier went on The View 2 days ago. She's like, I witnessed, I guess it was a lynching, and she's 70. And the last lynching that happened in the state of Ohio was 1911. All right. And there was never one in Columbus, Ohio. And all the people on The View were like, oh, that must be true. You got to understand the things about the left is they lie, and they know that the base of the people that they're lying to, they already have a narrative in their mind, and they're never going to check it with facts, or very few will. Now, independents will, people with like moderates will, but like the hardcore base will never do it. So yeah, she's going to say that because it advantages her, and she would say he's a maniacal demon that's trying to overthrow the government one day, and then say he's a senile old man. The other is like, which is it? Is he maniacal? Just like, you can't be both. So it doesn't make sense, but you got to remember who she's trying to win is the Democrat primary voter. And the primary voter in the Democratic Party is so divorced from reason, and they live in a world of make-believe. So yeah, of course she's going to say it. We're not going to buy it. Independents aren't going to buy it. But primary voting Democrats, they're going to buy it. So, of course, she's going to say it. It's actually a smart move politically for her to do that. And she's only thinking about getting those votes because that's what she needs to get the nomination.
So you had mentioned there, too, that President Trump, you believe, has accomplished more in a year than any president you could think of. And yeah, it has been a year and a couple of days since he was inaugurated, first year of his second term. You know, Trump also talked about that during his speech at Davos yesterday. In fact, Walker, go ahead if you can. Play the Trump Davos cut one for me.
After 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth, and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. I want to discuss how we've achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing.
So, yeah, that was Trump. And I was asking people on the show this yesterday, so I definitely want to get your take, Chris. If you had to rate Trump's first year of his second term between 0 to 10, 10 being the best, what rating would you give Trump?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, I think I give him at least like a 9.5 because I think 10's an impossible number. The problem is I'm just rating Trump because I'm not, if I was rating the Republican Congress, I would give them like a 5, right? So, but it's Trump has, and that's it. And that's probably me being very generous and nice because they have not, and I know we have small, but I know it's just a bare majority. I get all those things. But when Democrats have a bare majority, they get stuff done. They get everything they want done. There's no, like, they just bulldoze. When we do it, we have a bunch of people like, well, I want to work with everybody. But yeah, if everyone in Congress had the same mindset as Trump, of all the Republicans, we would be just destroying the left at every single turn. But it seems like we've decided to let Trump do all the hard work, and the Republicans in Congress, save a few, are doing the bare minimum just to get reelected. So yeah, Trump's busting his tail. I can't think of anything he's done other than I don't think Pam Bondi was a great appointment, and I think Kash Patel he's not bad, but he could have gotten somebody better. So those two, I think he could have done better. But every other appointment I think is great. All his judicial appointments have been great. His sub-cabinet secretaries have been awesome. So I don't see any way that he could have done better other than a few minor things that I think he needs to correct.
Yeah, I mean, usually, and this has been my take on Trump for a while, if you judge him based solely on actions, it's hard not to give him a 9 or a 10. Usually it's his mouth that gets in the way. But I mean, that's not new. That kind of comes with the territory at this point. And I always say, Trump is a great president because he is willing to do things that other presidents aren't willing to do. But there might be some times where that can kind of get him into trouble. I guess it's probably a good idea to go, issue by issue here. So we'll start with immigration. I'm guessing you'd probably give him a 9 or a 10 on immigration.
Yeah, 9 because, I mean, it's so hard because if he had everything that he wanted, like if it wasn't for the freaking court slowing things down, it would have been great. But we've deported 2.8 million people in a year. We just got the new numbers out. That's with self-deportations and everything. That's the number we need to reach. We need to reach about 3 million every 4 to get the 12 million out, and we're very close. And if we can get 10 million out, that's probably good enough to save the United States. So I think he's doing great on that. We need to ramp it up. We don't need to back down. But yeah, he's doing great on that one.
I mean, Trump did say, actually talking about immigration, I'm just going to play the cut and get your take on this. Walker, go ahead. Play Trump Davos cut 3, and we'll react to it.
Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal.
Well, that was...
More people should do that.
That was not the right cut. So never mind. But on that, I was thinking of a different cut. You can stop that there. So Trump, actually, I think he said it during his press conference. He was actually telling people, they need to back off just a little bit. I was telling them to back off. We're not targeting hotel workers and farmers and stuff like that. And I was thinking, why not? If they're illegal immigrants, shouldn't we go after them as well? He's kind of been a little soft on some of that, mostly because he's worried about the economy.
Yeah, he every couple months he makes a comment like that, and then the base goes crazy, and then he realizes, oh crap, well I got to do it. But I think Trump tests the waters a lot of times with the comments like that, but as soon as the base responds, he automatically goes and doubles down. It's kind of like with his foreign policy or with his statements on foreign policy. He'll pretty much keep going as far as he wants. He'll actually look at the stock market. If the stock market goes down too much, he'll moderate and modify. So I think Trump's he wants to test the resolve, but also he needs to see that the base is willing to fight and is willing to be with them because, again, this midterm is going to be turnout elections. So in his mind, it's like, okay, well, you guys better get involved and serious and back me on this, or I'm going to moderate my position. So part of that is to make sure that the base is actually going to do what is necessary to win. And I think it's actually a brilliant strategy.
Okay, so that's immigration. Let's look at the economy. How would you rate him on the economy?
Yeah, I give him a 10. I mean, the economy, if 10 being what is actually possible within a 12-month period to grow an economy, I don't think he could. There's nothing else he could have done. I mean, look, we're at 5.4 GDP. That's the highest number we've had in I don't know how many years. Rent prices are going down. House prices are going to go down. The inflation rate on many things going down. Energy, like gas prices, will be under $2 by summer. There's nothing else he could have done to make it go down, because if people want him to do something that is actually impossible, meaning change 4 years of Biden in 12 months, every bit of it, that's not doable. No one's ever done that. That can't be done, right? But he's doing it as quickly as possible, and I guarantee you by summer, people are going to start feeling these results in a very practical way, and some of the polling on his economy stuff is going to get back to where it was at the beginning.
All right, so 10 on the economy. What about national security, foreign policy? I kind of put that in one category. Would you give him a 10 there?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think of anything They got 8 peace deals done, and he's going after. Like, he's been very clear on the Somalia threat and everything else. So I don't really know what Trump could have done more on foreign policy. Our military's built up. He wants to build a Golden Dome. Middle East is calm. I think I don't see anything he did wrong in any of those things.
Okay, so what areas am I missing? You kind of mentioned the Justice Department. You're not the biggest fan of Pam Bondi, so I'm guessing in that area he gets a 9, an 8, something like that. I'd probably on the DOJ, I'd give him like a 6, because again, even though Pam Bondi's a disappointment, he still picked her. So he's got personnel as choices. I never subscribed to Trump's getting bad advice, like what people said in the first term, and they wanted to criticize him, but they were like, they wouldn't do it for whatever reason. No, he picked her. He deserves that's been the one sore spot, and I think he's likely to pick someone else, or at least make some moderate changes there. But yeah, that's been a huge disappointment, and I don't know how you would say it would be much better than that. I got to say, the one area where I think Trump is lacking, and I've talked about this on the show many times, healthcare. Now, some people might not think that's the sexiest topic or whatever it is, but it does affect everyone's lives. And he was right in terms of wanting to put, money in HSAs instead of giving it straight to insurance companies. And there were good reforms as a part of the big, beautiful bill. But, and this kind of goes back to what you said about Congress, that a lot of this is Congress's fault. But there isn't really a good plan when it comes to lowering healthcare costs. We can talk about the Democrats screwing it up, and they did. But in order to get something done and actually lower costs, we have to come up with our own plan. And I've been kind of frustrated on that front.
Yeah, I'm going to say this on the healthcare. If we had the same obesity rate as we had in 1975, healthcare costs would be about 60 to 65% lower, meaning trillions of dollars. So even with a terrible plan by Obamacare, healthcare would still be much less expensive so it's really kind of hard for me to get as mad, because he's pushing all the right initiatives. But if 2/3 of the issue are people not willing to diet and exercise, I mean, that's kind of on them. That's not on him. And so people need to take responsibility for choices. And if they want him, he can't go into someone's house and make them eat healthy and exercise. Like, if that's the main thing, let's focus. And Kennedy's talked more about that and done more on that front than anyone in history. So I give him a 10 just because they're actually addressing the root of the problem.
But that's not the only root. I mean, the other root is, the fact that healthcare costs, we've gotten rid of competition. There's a lot of regulation involved in healthcare
all terrible.
as part of Obamacare and stuff like that.
We could fix all. I'm saying we need to fix it. We can. I think that's something you could do. But there's a filibuster issue. But you could probably do some things on the edge with that. But yeah, I'm just saying, if you fix the actual obesity issue in America, and you look at the cost of healthcare, and we fixed all those things, the average insurance cost for people would be at least 50 to 60% less, even with a bad overall structure. But yeah, we need to fix the structure as well, because that can actually fix the system, even if people don't make great personal choices. I just get tired of people not mentioning personal choice when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah, and sometimes the system itself can discourage better choices. For instance,
like Snap.
Snaps. Yeah, that's true as well. But just like, I've dealt with issues in my back in the past, and I wanted to get an MRI because I was using Regenesis, and my insurance wouldn't cover it because they were like, well, yeah, you got to take a bunch of pills first and see if that helps your back before we do anything else. And it's like, but shouldn't we want to know like the root cause, like what is actually causing the back problem? But the insurance wouldn't cover it. So that kind of goes to what you're saying. It's just kind of an issue where we're not, the system itself discourages maybe better behavior and better treatment options.
Yeah, I mean, if we did with like, how you pay more if you're a smoker than a non-smoker, for example, we did that for, let's say, fitness, it would create a huge incentive for people to be fit. The problem is about, a lot of people would get hit with higher costs, but if you're healthy and fit, your insurance would go way down. So I think if we applied that one change, that would dramatically change incentives.
Christopher Reed is host of The Daily Controversy. He also joins me on this show every Thursday. Want to ask him about Trump's endorsement of Barry Moore. Does that change the Senate race in Alabama quite a bit? I think it does. So we'll get to that next on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Yes, I'm Alabama's voice of reason. Huntsville's conservative conscience. Don't forget, if you miss any of the show live, the podcast is available on the website, WVNN.com, or anywhere podcasts are available. Christopher Reed joining the show. He's host of The Daily Controversy. Check out his show, 8 to 10 p.m. on WVNN. Chris, haven't talked to you since President Donald Trump gave Barry Moore his official endorsement for the U.S. Senate. Now, when you were looking at the latest polls, Steve Marshall was winning, but the majority of voters were undecided. Now, the latest poll that I see here, and I got this from YellowHammerNews.com, and they got it from a Remington Research Group survey. It was conducted between January 16th through the 19th, so, before the endorsement and when the endorsement was very new. But it has Steve Marshall at 26%, Barry Moore at 13%, and Jared Hudson at 10%. Now, I'm guessing because of the Trump endorsement, you think that's probably going to change.
Yeah, I stopped looking at polls a long time ago. I only look at Polymarket because when Polymarket has a candidate 70+% the day before a primary or an election, they've got it right 99.98% of the time. They've only missed one election when they had that. Barry Moore sitting at 72% in the betting markets. So the betting markets are infinitely more accurate than any of the polls in every single situation, and they just are. So right now, using those, he has almost an unbeatable. Now, things could change, but right now, if the betting market says you got a 72% chance, it's probably more like a 95% chance. So as long as things stay the same, he will absolutely win this thing in a landslide. But things could change. You never know. It's not a guarantee. But if things just remain normal, if something extraordinary doesn't happen, he will win, no question.
Now, when you look at the betting markets, did it show what it was before the Trump endorsement versus after?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it went up a lot.
Oh, yeah. It went up. I think it was like pretty nearly tied. It was like 40, 35, something like that. It went up to 30 points to 72 almost immediately after. I mean, after the endorsement, it just went up to 72-20. That's the current.
When you look at the poll, I know you say you don't necessarily trust all the polls, but looking at this, at least to trends, the big number there is that 48% are undecided, which is why a Trump endorsement can make a big difference, right? Those undecideds now have a real reason. They get a robocall with Trump saying, vote for Barry Moore. A lot of them might vote for Barry Moore then.
Almost all of them will. And remember, a lot of the undecideds are ones that generally don't pay as close attention. So for them, if they like Trump and he endorses, they're going to go with him. So that's just history. Everything could change, but I would say at this point, it's not going to be a close race.
All right, there you go. Christopher Reed, host of The Daily Controversy. Sheriff Barrymore is listening, the congressman running for U.S. Senate, he'll be happy with Chris's take, I'm sure. All right, when we get back, got to talk about the latest in Minneapolis. A lot more to get to on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Get ready for The Rush with Max Crosby.
If it was going to happen, why not this year?
All-pro defensive end Max Crosby takes you beyond the field with exclusive insights.
I love when people sleep, uncertain people, because you just know they're going to make everyone look stupid.
Moments everyone's talking about.
Hit 5 in a row, brother. We're going to the Pro Bowl again.
Come on, baby!
We've been through a lot, and we're just getting rolling.
The Rush.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The Yaffee program on WVNN.
Second hour of the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Don't forget, if you miss any of the show live, the podcast is up pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. Easy way to find it, go to WVNN.com, but you can also find it on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Apple Podcasts, all of that. Headline here from Fox News. It says that Minnesota agitators have been arrested in the wake of the church invasion. It's at least according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. So federal authorities have arrested activist lawyer Nikema Levy Armstrong and St. Paul School Board member Chantel Louise Allen. It says federal authorities have arrested 2 anti-ICE agitators after a mob stormed a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that today. This is what she said, quote, "Minutes ago at my direction, HSI and FBI agents executed an arrest in Minnesota. So far, we have arrested Nikema Levy Armstrong, who allegedly played a key role in organizing the coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota." So we have to talk more about this and more about the ICE operations in general and the beyond reason reaction to it all. Christopher Reed is joining the show. He is host of The Daily Controversy. You can often catch his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com. His podcast is also available anywhere podcasts are available. Chris, what do you think about this? About time that people are being arrested over this?
Yeah, I mean, those two are the most vile human beings. And the funny thing is, one of these ladies she was in a part of an NGO, and she got state funds to run the NGO, and it was supposed to help the community. Well, it turns out if they were getting paid, let's say $400,000, she would give herself $256,000, and then she'd give $140,000 to the community, but the community was just to organize riots. So these people are all part of the scam. It's not just the Somalians. These people are, wow. But these are devout. These people are evil. They're communists. They should go to jail. And the funny thing is they're charging them with, I think, the Ku Klux Klan Act, because that's a conspiracy against rights, and the FACE Act. And as far as the facts and the law, they are as dead guilty as you can get. Now, they'll have the chance for a trial and whatnot. You never know what's going to happen with a Democrat judge. But I think there's going to be a lot more arrests. And you kind of have to, because the Democrats, they have to realize invading a church and attacking kids and kids crying in the background, that's not going to make them look good in a midterm, especially when commercials on that. It's going to make them look bad to normies, and they probably know it. So I would expect a lot more arrests coming, but these are 2 serious ones. And finally, Pam's arresting someone, so thank God.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to several people, and usually they'll tell me, why haven't people been arrested yet in this incident? Well, what's the holdup? I mean, it's literally on video, multiple angles. We know exactly who was in that church, and we know it was illegal. Although, as I mentioned before, Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General of Minnesota, that means he's Minnesota's chief law enforcement officer, apparently doesn't understand the law himself. Go ahead, if you can, Walker, play the Keith Ellison cut that I sent you.
Do with whether they're going to focus or investigate you. So I wish in a normal time I would say no. I say this is First Amendment activity. In time like this, it's just really difficult to say because the only one thing is clear: if Trump likes you, you can do no wrong. If he doesn't, he's going to use every weapon he can against you, including our criminal justice system.
I mean, it is still almost unbelievable to me, that cut, because he said storming a church, interrupting a service is normal First Amendment activity. Says you couldn't use the FACE Act. He said that multiple times in the past couple days. And my response usually is he's either lying to you or he's lying to himself, maybe a little bit of both. But, I mean, he's absolutely wrong based on the law, right, Chris?
Yeah, he's an idiot. I actually was at an event where Keith Ellison was like 2 chairs away from me. And I was actually sitting, this is funny, so Joaquin Phoenix was in front of me, and Steven Tyler was also there. I got invited by this reporter lady I know, and we just had a good relationship, but, she's super liberal. She invited me. I was like, I'll just go to this thing. And again, it was kind of a left-wing thing. But I remember Keith Ellison was, everything he said that night was full-on communist, let's overthrow the United States kind of situation. The guy is a nut job. He is as corrupt as they get. I mean, of course he doesn't understand the law, and he doesn't actually care what the law is. They have him on tape basically saying he's going to get people to back off the investigation to the Somalians. And this is like a few days before they get arrested, and he only gave the money back after they got convicted. Even during the trial, he was saying, "Well, I'm not giving the money back. No one's been convicted yet." He had to do it. So yeah, I wouldn't take his word on anything. He's not a real attorney. He hates this country, and he'll never do the right thing. And people that voted for him for AG, even though I know the voting system in Minnesota is largely fraudulent, they really should be ashamed of themselves. This guy is a terrible human being.
I mean, it's so cut and dry in the law that under the FACE Act, you cannot interfere, intimidate, interrupt a place of worship. What else do you call that? What they were doing? I don't know what else you call that. You can't say if that's just a normal protest. And then, of course, you have some of the leftist pundits say, well, the reason why they're upset is that's the home of white supremacy, evangelical Christians. And they don't like Don Lemon because he's black and he's gay. This is white supremacy at work. And churches like that, it's white supremacist. And then, of course, you see videos and pictures from people in the service, and they're not all white because it's not about that at the church. But, I mean, you look at the law, like you said, the Ku Klux Klan Act or the FACE Act, it's pretty cut and dry here, it seems like.
Yeah, and it's so funny they always say that because you never see them go into, like, all black churches and say, oh, this is black supremacy. They are racist against everyone. I was like, first of all, even in those black churches, you're welcome to come visit if you're white. They're not going to kick you out or exclude you. And in churches that are predominantly white, everyone's welcome. And in that church specifically, they have agents Hispanic. I think they have a few African-American members as well. Joe Rigney, who's been on my show, was the pastor of that church for 8 years before he moved to Moscow, Idaho. And again, this is like a very loving church plant. It tries to reach the community. And they actually are a lot more diverse, if you want to use that word, than, say, a normal, like, suburban church. So even this idea of the white supremacy nonsense is completely false. It's ridiculous. That church is very open, and it's a normal Southern Baptist church. I go to a Southern Baptist church. It's basically the same type of church. The pastor's great. And you notice that nobody like, fought back, even though they were afraid, even though, there was a murder, children were murdered a few miles from there by a trans activist. They just sat there and read the Bible and prayed, and when they engaged, they were very thoughtful. They played worship music, and they thought, we'll let the authorities take care of it, and that's exactly what they did. So, again, Don Lemon's so bad, CNN fired him. I mean, it wasn't just conservatives that don't like him. Like, nobody liked him. I mean, he's a terrible human being. So, and he was sued for sexual assault and battery in 2019. Eventually, he did win that case, so I will point that out. But the guy, again, he's awful. He was doing that because he hates Christianity. Everyone in there, besides the churchgoers, hated Christianity. But they're going to enjoy, even if they lose, they're going to be spending the next 6 months to 2 years in the legal process, even if they're victorious at trial. So there will be consequences for these people, even if they don't ultimately get convicted.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that last part up, too, because that was kind of my point. I mean, these leftist agitators, why target a church? Now, they claim is because they believe someone at the church worked for ICE. But no, they really hate Christianity. Yeah. But they hate Christianity. It's an attack on Christianity. When you're talking about radical leftists, they believe in their leftist religion. they don't want to admit it's a religion, but it basically is a religion. And they're going to attack Christians. They're going to attack Christianity and try to undermine it any way they can. And that's why we have to stop this, because it won't end. If we don't put people in jail over something like this, they'll keep doing it.
Socialism or communism never taken over a nation that has a strong church. It's never happened. If you look in Germany prior to the Nazis taking over, the German church was all but dead. I mean, I think you had like 10-15% participation, and that was in like the 1920s. You can look at Russia, the Orthodox Church. Nobody was going to it before the Communist Revolution. America, its church is weaker than it was 50 years ago, but is actually growing over the last 2-3 years, which is really positive. But so the communists, they see Christianity as the greatest threat to their ability to take over a country. And the thing is, they're 100% right. With Christianity strong, if the family is strong, no nation has ever embraced socialism. And that's why they're going after churches. And it at least makes rational sense that they did that, but it is highly illegal.
So do you think more people will be arrested? Do you think Don Lemon might be arrested over this?
Oh, I think they're going to probably have to arrest everyone that participated. They can't just make selective arrest of the leaders. I mean, that wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be smart as a legal strategy. So yeah, everybody that invaded there has to get arrested. In the same way, the Biden administration arrested everyone who even slightly trespassed during January 6th, even if they were there for 3 minutes, went in and out, didn't touch anyone. They still put those people in jail for years. So, yeah, anyone that walked into there to disrupt for 45 minutes has to get arrested, has to get prosecuted. Some of them may win. That's fine. But at least they'll have to go through a 2-year process of jury trials. They'll have to do depositions. It will strongly disrupt their lives no matter what. And that in itself will be a deterrent. And some of them will be convicted.
And you kind of mentioned this earlier. I tend to agree with you. You know, if the economy is doing well, that's going to hurt Democrats in the midterms. That'll help Republicans. But this kind of stuff does too, right? I still think one of the main reasons Trump won, it was a rejection of the radical left in this country. And when the radical left keeps making themselves known like this, that just encourages people to either not show up or vote Republican. So stuff like this actually helps Republicans in the midterms.
Yeah, the more caustic they are, the more they push trans ideology, the more they attack churches, things like that, the more it's going to... Again, it's a base election. It's not that the people in church aren't voting Republican. It's just that if you make them angry, the ones that might not have voted are coming out to vote, and they'll crawl through glass to vote, and that can be a deciding factor in a midterm.
Talking with Christopher Reed. He is host of The Daily Controversy. Check out his show, all his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com. So when we get back from the break, we have to talk about a report. You shared this with me, Chris, and it's pretty interesting because I had saw the reports on how they said ICE apparently gassed kids on their way into a home or something. And then it turns out it's not true. And it was just a giant grift, whoever was saying this. So we'll talk about that next and much more. We'll be back here in just a sec on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
We're back here on the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You can also listen online, WVNN.com, on your iHeartRadio app, your TuneIn Radio app, any of your smart devices, or, of course, the WVNN app. So check all of that out. Christopher Reed's joining the show. He is host of The Daily Controversy. Check out his stuff at thedailycontroversy.com. His show is 8 to 10 p.m. on WVNN as well. And, Chris, you shared this story with me. Pretty amazing. This is by Not the Bee, so that's the real news site as opposed to the satire site. According to the report, it says parents who raised $170,000 by claiming ICE gassed their kids on the way home from a basketball game lied about the whole thing. And yet they were able to, just kind of proves that a lot of this is just a giant grift, right, Chris?
Yeah, and I bet you it was easily disprovable from the start. But you got to remember, a lot of these people that are hardcore Democrats, their entire lives are just based on fraud. They defraud the government for the welfare. They defraud the government, whether it's through these programs, and they'll defraud their community and say, "Oh, look, there's bad things happen," or like, "I'm just going to say my kid got gassed and no one will find out." And I bet you a lot of the time people don't find out, but in this case, people did. And so do I think that the Democrat governor or the Democrat DA is going to charge him. Probably not, but there are federal charges here, and I assume you'll get charged here. You can't commit fraud, but in that state, if you are part of the Democratic base and you commit fraud, the chances of you getting prosecuted by the state are like 99.99% that you will not. So I get why he did this, but in this case, he actually got caught.
Yeah, a little bit more on the story here. It's Destiny and Sean Jackson. They're Minneapolis parents who claim their truck was lifted off the ground by a tear gas canister as they were just peacefully driving home with 6 kids from a basketball game at Anderson Middle School. And they have a big GoFundMe page about this and everything else. And, of course, the two apparently left. When you actually see the video, it proves it's fake. There's video of it. So it says the two apparently left their kids in the car while they got mostly peaceful. If the children were exposed to tear gas, it is because their parents endangered them by leaving them in a vehicle. And then they started harassing federal officers, then trying to flee the scene of a crime. So great parents here. So they blame ICE for this, even though they left the kids there. And it didn't even happen anyway, Piers.
Yeah. It's so easy to get people to believe a lie now. And people, again, they are so tied to a narrative that they do not check things out. Like what I do, even if I hear a story that's on the right, I go to Grok and say, is this a valid story or not? And I can kind of tell that most of the time it's not. But I'll do that before I talk on this show or my show. Most people don't even take the time to like Google and say, is this real? And it's so easy. It would take people 5 seconds, but people that are led by emotions will never do this. They will always buy into stuff because they don't think rationally anyway. So if you try to give them facts, it won't help.
Well, I guess it appears, too, that CBS News kind of fell for it. Like they kind of went to the home, but they didn't really do any backup reporting either on this, from what I'm reading from Not the Bee here.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's they didn't even have to say that part. Of course, CBS didn't do any follow-up and just assumed it to be true. I mean, that's true of all their reporting. I mean, they don't care. They said for days that this guy was not hit by the car. There's evidence against the testimony. And then we get a video where he's hit, and then we get a medical report where he has internal bleeding. So, yeah, they lie about everything. They're legacy media.
Yeah. I know. I mean, they're trying to make changes at CBS, Barry Weiss's anyway, but there's already like a hit campaign against her. Like, there are all these other media outlets are mad that she wants to actually fix the problem. All right, we'll talk more with Christopher Reed next here on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
My name is David Goss. I am joined by two icons of the game, Megan Klingenberg and Ale Bedoya.
It's just been so fun
being a part of this community that we are building.
Hopefully we'll be not just a niche sport here in our country, but also even more respected across the globe.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We are excited to cover it all here at the U.S. Soccer Podcast. It is going to be a big year. Kling, red card, or play on?
A play on.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. We are here on Newstalk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Christopher Reed is here as well. He's the host of The Daily Controversy. You can listen to his show 8 to 10 p.m. on WVNN. And Chris, kind of want to just go through a little bit of a grab bag of some other stories that we haven't really talked about yet today. Now, you had shared this story with me. I have not seen this series. I have heard it is as bad as it gets when it comes to a television series. But I guess Paramount's new Star Trek series is just not good. It's just full of like a bunch of woke nonsense, I'm guessing. I don't know. I thought maybe Paramount would have learned this lesson by now, like because people are turned off by a lot of the woke stuff. And, you know, I was never like a big Trekkie. I liked the movies in the 2000s. But were you a Trekkie at all, Chris? You a fan of Star Trek?
I mean, I saw the movies. I was never like that into it. I mean, I like Star Wars. I just didn't ever get into it. It's just not my personality type. But this one I'll give this to Paramount. They do produce a lot of right-leaning shows. So for them to produce like a left-leaning one, that might be part of like just a balance so they can make the creative talent happy, which I completely understand. But this was a terrible show all in all. I mean, the plot is this captain, I guess they separate this woman who's a murderer from her child, and then she feels terrible from separating this kid, and the kid turns out to be like a violent criminal, and then she brings him to Star Trek, and he's like, oh, but this terrible, and I guess they're trying to make the point that this is like a minority. He scored 98% in his in the class, and then he turns out to be like a hero. And the bad guy in this is like a white dude who's just like a vicious. I guess he's kind of like a Trump character. There's a lot of girl boss stuff here. There's also a lot of, I guess, what you would call gentle parenting. I mean, they make the Klingon character apparently look really weak. He's like, I just want people to understand my feelings. And I'm like, in the original show, Klingons were like warlike and they were the enemy and that they were a proud species. In this one, they make them look like a bunch of pansies. So
like the direct opposite of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, even William Shatner, and he's a lefty guy. He agreed. Stephen Miller posted about this and said this was garbage and they should put Shatner. And Shatner said, I absolutely agree. And they don't agree on many things. But for William Shatner to be like a lifelong Democrat and say this is awful, it's destroying the brand, it has to be bad. It's even worse than Star Wars The Acolyte, where it was about a group of lesbians who magically had a baby somehow. And I mean, it really was the plot of the show.
I know. So, I watched some of it, believe it or not. And yes, you're right. It was.
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, it's awful. They're not gonna have a second season, and it's fine. They want to spend $120 million on this. Great. They're gonna make it back on Landman and Tulsa King and some of the other ones, which so I guess they can afford to take a hit.
It amazes me how some of these Hollywood studios, they're just destroying brands. Like, well, Star Trek is a popular brand. You had mentioned Star Wars, what had been done to that brand. We could talk about Marvel, some of the stuff done to destroy that brand. It's just, maybe it changes in the future, but maybe it doesn't. I mean, will these Hollywood studios learn their lessons anytime soon?
I think Marvel has, because their movie Doomsday, apparently they even the guys that work on it who are lefties said we got destroyed after Endgame. All the movies were like, they didn't make nearly as much money. So this one's supposed to kind of go back to being apolitical. There's no girl boss moment, any of that crap. It's just a good story. It's good storytelling, and that's the idea. So, they do change, but it takes some years of flops and losses for them to finally change. And now there's a lot of pressure from the administration because of the DEI hiring, which is illegal. So they're getting a ton of pressure from, their shareholders and the government. So they're kind of being forced to not do this anymore.
So another story that you had shared with me in sort of our grab bag of different stories out there. Apparently, there was this England AI that was put out on social media. It was meant to convince white British men that they're racist, I guess. Well, that gets hacked, and then it's like super pro-British. I saw some clips of this yesterday on X, I think. But I have not done a deep dive into this. I just saw some people talking about it. Talk about this.
Yeah, hacked is, I use hacked in more of a metaphor. It's not like they basically, the conservatives said, okay, we're going to take the exact person you've made and turn them into conservative, and now they're getting like millions and millions of retweets. And it's this girl who's like trying to tell white British men you're the source of all problems. You need to be more understanding that our country is stronger the more radical Islamic people we take in. And they said, okay, we're going to use this lady to back us. And it's funny. And in the hacking, at the end of the thing, that she actually takes off her blue hair. You can see she's like a pretty blonde British chick, and she's funny. And now the government's trying to like shut it down. And I mean, by the way, 33 people a day are arrested in Great Britain for free speech violations or social media posts. That number in Russia is 4. So all these people that want to say, oh, Britain's a free country and Russia's a tyranny. Well, you got almost no chance of being arrested in Russia. I mean, if you get arrested, you're in trouble. But in Britain, if you get arrested, and a lot of those people end up doing some time in jail. So I think the British people, like, if they don't figure out how to win the next election, they're going to have to consider other means to get their country back.
Yeah, although I will say Putin, he just kills his political enemies a little bit. It could be why some aren't
the
arrested.
high level ones. He's not, but he's usually not killing the people that's speaking out against them who don't matter. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, the pictures of the AI, she doesn't, even with the purple hair, she doesn't look bad.
Yeah, that was the problem. They were trying to see the British. They were trying to reach young men, so let's make her pretty. But then they didn't realize, like, okay, well, the Reform Party or is going to just take this thing over and destroy us with it, which is what they did. And I'm sure they're going to arrest the people that took this and say it's a copyright or whatever violation. But they don't care. It's worth it because it's politically. It's a big deal, and it's really helpful for people in the Reform Party, which is just basically the new Tory party, because after the Tory party just became like liberal light.
So it's interesting, too, because you have some of the European countries over there. They're mad at Trump, because he wants them to pay more of their share and talks about Greenland and, being more America first. And they're like, well, we need to take care of our own security. And first off, Trump is probably yeah, that's what I've been telling you to begin with. But two, I don't even buy it. I don't, you see the problems of these European countries, this idea that they're going to not rely on the United States all of a sudden and really be in charge of their national security and really focus on their own countries doing better. I mean, I see no evidence of that. It still seems to me they're pretty reliant on the U.S., and that's not going to change.
Yeah. Even if they spend the money, I think it's that they just don't have the fighters. I mean, they've so weakened their male population to a level. It's very difficult. I mean, if you look at Alexander the Great, he was outnumbered between 5 and 10 every major battle he fought, and won every single one of them because he had strong fighters. They were highly motivated. They were skilled. So if you take a bunch of weak, European fighters against Russia, even if Russia doesn't have the resources and the Europeans are better equipped, if you're talking about conventional warfare, Russia's going to win because they would actually their men fight better. They don't care about casualties. They'll fight to the death. And the Europeans, especially a lot of these, with a few exceptions, but most of these countries, the people they put in their military are people that they have no loyalty to the country. Their ancestry doesn't matter to them. Those countries they will take 2 casualties and then quit the war. So yeah, I mean, they do need to pay for more of it, but if they don't change the cultural issues in their country, if they don't change the mass immigration, even if they spend 5% on their defense, eventually a weaker country with less munitions could defeat them because if you're not willing to fight, especially if you're talking conventional warfare, it's not going to go well for them. So I really hope they change, because if not, then it's just going to have to be us that defends them in perpetuity, which isn't really fair to us.
Well, and, you had mentioned they don't have the will. I think there's a lot of truth to that. When you destroy the culture, that's going to affect how effective your military is. But even beyond that, I know they're spending the money. It's just there's still a bunch of leftists. They still want the giant welfare state. They still want massive government. And I just... in order for them to really be able to focus on national security, they have to go away from a lot of those socialist leftist policies that they've been implementing for the last 50, 60 years. And, I mean, does it seem like they're going to do that anytime soon?
No, and you got to think of it from a soldier's perspective. Imagine a soldier who's, let's say, fighting for Britain, and he realizes that his friends and family are getting arrested for free speech, and that his entire town's been taken over by radical Islamists. Is he really going to be as motivated to fight for that country when it's just not it's not the country he even believes in anymore? Well, of course not. He's not going to fight for it because he sees that country as his enemy. And that's a real problem, that whenever you have internal issues like that, same thing in Germany, they're doing even worse than Great Britain. So they may have some good fighters, some good special forces, but at some point you take away people's freedom, you destroy their culture. You got to realize that in a battle, if they don't have a motivation to fight, they're not going to. And that's something that very few people talk about, but it's something that's been true throughout the world history in warfare.
Yeah, and it happened. And it's also true the other way. I mean, I think one of the reasons why Ukraine has been able to hold off Russia is because they did have a motivation to fight.
Yeah, they fought hard. They believe in their country. They're willing to die for it. And the same way, Russia's willing to take whatever casualties. That's why the war's so hard to solve. Both sides are willing to not give up an inch without making the other side take it, which is why it's been a stalemate for so many years. And that's why this war is continuing to go on. You got two very highly motivated forces, which, I mean, if Ukraine had not been that way, they could have been overthrown in a few days. But they were strong and they were able to stop.
Yeah, really. I mean, they got a lot of help from even ordinary civilians who would be lookouts and help block roads. And I mean, all of that makes a huge difference. I think you're right on that. Speaking with Christopher Reed, joins me every Thursday. He is host of The Daily Controversy. When we get back from the break, we're going to ask him maybe about a story we might have missed. He'll go over that. Back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Final segment now of the Yaffee program, right here on News Talk 770 AM 92.5 FM WVNN. Glad you have joined the show today, and glad Christopher Reed is here as well, host of The Daily Controversy. Check out all his stuff at dailycontroversy.thedailycontroversy.com. Chris, any stories you maybe missed today that you want to go over?
Yeah, this is really funny. I'd say it for last. Gavin Newsom called Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, who's amazing. He said he was smug and he's out of touch. And like, this is the guy that's going after a lot of fraud, including fraud in California. So I guess Newsom wants to be president, so he's trying to take shots at, get the cabinet. But this is not the guy you do it to, because Bessent is a pit bull and he will absolutely go for the throat, which is what he did. This is what he said when he heard that. Quote, Governor Newsom, who strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken, may be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. He's here this week with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, and Davos is a perfect place for a man who, when everyone else is in lockdown, when he was having people arrested for going to church, shame on him, he is too smug, too self-absorbed, and too economically illiterate to know anything. Let me know if you need any further clarification on this matter. And then it went further because Newsom, in an interview with some guys, like I think they're like NBA analysts or whatever, he said that he grew up on Wonder Bread and playing basketball in the back, and he was basically a poor guy growing up. But I mean, his dad from birth was worth millions. At the time he was in high school, I think they were worth the equivalent of like 30 million. So basically, Bessent is going to call this guy out as a fraud, as a guy that would sell his soul to the devil for power. And Bessent does not give a crap. Bessent, I remember, even him and Elon got some things. Bessent will just go after you if he thinks you're wrong. That's why Trump likes this guy so much, because he doesn't take crap and he will say whatever is necessary, and he's brilliant. So I love this. I love it every time Gavin Newsom gets taken down. Even the Democrat analysts were like, oof, this is bad for Newsom. So what are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny because Bessent kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. Of all the people to call someone else smug and out of touch, Gavin Newsom, does he really think of himself as like the average guy, the man of the people? No, does anyone? Usually his main criticism when you're talking about Gavin Newsom is he's too slick. He's got the hair. So when Scott Bessent responds there, it's like, yeah, of all the people to criticize Scott Bessent for that, and all the things for him to say, if you're going to criticize Scott Bessent, that to me, it's like almost like Gavin Newsom was asking for it, at least to my take. And, he brought up the point as well, things he was doing during COVID made him seem out of touch and smug. I mean, am I wrong on that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, Gavin Newsom is the biggest chameleon. Like, he'll go on, he did an interview with Ben Shapiro where he's like, oh, my press office went too fast, and I don't think ICE was that bad, and blah. And then the next day he's like, these ICE guys are terrorists, they are state-sponsored terrorism. Or like he did an interview with Charlie Kirk last year, obviously before he passed away, and he was like, yeah, I get, the trans stuff, that might be unfair. And then he comes back, he's like, I will 100% the 20% of people who back this, and I will be their biggest advocate. Like, this guy, again, he thinks he can say whatever he wants to whatever audience, and it'll never catch up to him because, again, the Democrat base is too stupid or emotional to know it. But the problem is you can't just win with Democrats like Republicans. We can't just win with Republicans. You got to win independents. Independents are going to see that and find it inauthentic. And I think that's his biggest problem. And I honestly, people think like, oh, this guy's good at lying. He's slick and all that stuff. Yeah, but people do care about your accomplishments. That's what ultimately sunk Kamala. I mean, she couldn't communicate either. But so I think this is smart on the Trump administration to go after this guy as hard as possible because you want to weaken him as much as you possibly can before the primary. And I think, Vance is very big into this as well. So, yeah, I think this is a smart I think it's smart. Do you really think Newsom has the best chance to win this thing?
No. You know what Newsom's kind of reminding me of? Kamala Harris. I remember, and I'm not talking about when she actually ran, but the first time in 2020 when she ran in the Democrat primary. And I remember there were a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans were like, oh, she's the one to watch. Oh, she's going to be great. Oh, she's a black woman. Oh, she's going to be the front runner. And I remember thinking at the time, I don't get it. She's just not that impressive to me. Like, she's not a great campaigner, not very impressive. And I don't know the obsession here other than she checks the right boxes. And I see a little bit of that here. Now, Gavin Newsom doesn't have that advantage of checking the right identity boxes, I guess. But to me, it's just like everyone wants him to be the guy. Like, oh, he is so impressive. And then I think, is he though? Is he really? That's why I think it could be AOC, honestly. Could be a nominee.
You could be right. I think Democrats are a little scared of running another woman just because of the record. So they may want to run a guy. And of the men, he's the best candidate. So if they care about that, he can be. But if they care about enthusiasm, charm, AOC is going to get it.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Shapiro should be the best candidate, but
he's Jewish. They'll never give it to a Jewish person. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, the primary voters won't. Christopher Reed, host of the Daily Controversy. Thank you for coming on the show today. Thank you to Walker for producing today, and I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. See you then.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
Get ready for The Rush with Max Crosby.
If it was going to happen, why not this year?
All-pro defensive end Max Crosby takes you beyond the field with exclusive insights.
I love when people sleep on certain people because you just know they're going to make everyone look stupid.
Moments everyone's talking about.
Hit 5 in a row, brother. We're going to the Pro Bowl again.
Come on, baby!
Been through a lot, and we're just getting rolling.
The Rush.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.